I used to think families were like photographs, a little faded, sometimes torn at the edges, but still something you could frame and hang on a wall. Mine never looked like that. If someone took a picture of us right now, it would probably be blurred, out of focus, with everyone looking in different directions. And me, right in the middle, wondering how I ended up carrying the weight of people who never seemed to notice how heavy it was. My name is Emily, and I'm 27 years old. I live in a small town in Ohio, the kind of place where everyone knows what you had for breakfast but pretends not to see when your world is falling apart. Maybe that's why I never told anyone what really went on in our house growing up. I learned early to keep my mouth shut, to smile at the right times, to say we're doing fine, when inside I felt anything but fine. The story really begins 2 weeks ago, when I got a call from my younger brother, Adam. He's 23, but he's been acting like he's 17 for as long as I can remember. I hadn't heard from him in months, not since he stormed out of my apartment after another fight about money. I told him I couldn't keep bailing him out. He told me I sounded just like Mom. That was the worst thing he could have said, because if there's anyone I swore I'd never turn into, it was her. When my phone rang that night, his name lit up the screen, and my stomach sank. I knew it wasn't going to be good news. "Em," he said, his voice tight, "it's Dad." I hadn't spoken to our father in nearly 5 years. He lived 2 hours away in a rundown house on the edge of Dayton, drinking too much, pretending he wasn't still haunted by the choices he'd made when we were kids. He left Mom when I was 10, left me to raise Adam in ways I shouldn't have had to at that age. I carried resentment like armor, and it kept me from ever dialing his number. "What about him?" I asked flatly. Adam paused, then whispered, "He's in the hospital. Heart attack." For a second, the world tilted. I wanted to say I didn't care. I wanted to say good riddance. But all that came out was, "When?" "Yesterday. I didn't know how to tell you. He's asking for you." My throat went dry. I hadn't seen the man in half a decade, and suddenly he was asking for me. Not Adam. Not anyone else. Me. I told myself I wasn't going to go. That night, I sat in my kitchen staring at the chipped tile on the floor, telling myself I owed him nothing. But by morning, I was in my car, driving down the familiar highways that led to Dayton, my hands gripping the wheel, so tightly my knuckles turned white. The hospital smelled like bleach and sadness. When I stepped into his room, I barely recognized him. His skin was pale, his frame thinner, tubes and monitors surrounding him like a cage. But his eyes, those sharp blue eyes I'd inherited, found me immediately. "Emily!" he croaked, and for the first time in years, I heard my name in his voice. I froze. All the anger, all the years of silence, rose in my chest like a wave, but I swallowed it down. I pulled the chair closer and sat, my body stiff. "Why am I here?" I asked, because I needed to hear it from him. His hand trembled as he reached for mine, but I didn't move closer. He sighed. "I don't have much time. And there's something you need to know. Something I should have told you a long time ago." My pulse quickened. For a moment, I thought he was going to apologize, to finally admit the years of neglect, the drinking, the way he left us with Mom who was too broken to love us properly. But that wasn't it. "There's another child," he whispered. The words didn't make sense at first. I blinked, leaning forward. "What do you mean?" He closed his eyes, his breath shallow. "Before I left your mother, there was someone else. A girl. She has a daughter. Your sister." I felt like the air had been sucked out of the room. A sister. All these years, and he never said a word. "Where is she?" I demanded. He coughed, his chest rattling. "Her name is Sarah. She's 19. She lives not far from here. She doesn't know about you. About Adam. I need you to find her." I sat back, my heart pounding. I wanted to scream, to tell him he didn't get to drop this on me now, not after everything. But he looked at me with those tired, pleading eyes, and for some reason I couldn't walk away. "I'm not doing this for you," I whispered. "If I find her, it'll be for her. Not you." His lips curved into the faintest smile, and then his eyes closed. The machines beeped steadily, but he didn't speak again. I left the hospital in a daze, the world outside too bright, too loud. My phone buzzed with a text from Adam. "How is he?" I stared at the screen, my thumb hovering. What was I supposed to say? That Dad had been hiding a whole other family from us. That we had a sister we'd never met. I typed back, "We need to talk." That night, Adam came to my apartment. He smelled faintly of smoke and cheap cologne, his hoodie stained like always. When I told him what Dad had said, he laughed bitterly. Of course. Why am I not surprised? The man couldn't even get being a father right once, so he tried again behind our backs. His words cut deep, but I knew he was right. Still, there was something gnawing at me. If Sarah was out there, did she even know who her father was? Did she know she had siblings? Did she hate him like I did? Or was she still waiting for him to show up? I couldn't sleep that night. I kept picturing a girl, 19, maybe in college, maybe working at a diner, living her life with no idea that she had a brother and a sister 2 towns away. Did she look like me? Did she have Dad's blue eyes? Adam's stubborn jawline? Did she even want to know us? By morning, I'd made up my mind. I was going to find her. Not for Dad. Not even for Adam. For me. Because I couldn't shake the feeling that maybe, just maybe, she was the missing piece of a family picture I'd never been able to frame. I didn't tell Adam right away. I wanted to be sure. I started with an old address Dad's nurse had scribbled down for me, one he'd mumbled in his half-conscious state. It wasn't much, but it was a start. The house was small, peeling paint on the porch, weeds curling up through the cracks in the driveway. I sat in my car for nearly 20 minutes, staring at the front door, my heart racing. Finally, I got out. My legs felt heavy as I climbed the steps and knocked. The door opened slowly, and a girl stood there. She had long dark hair, a wary look in her eyes. For a moment, I couldn't breathe. She looked so much like me at 19 that it was like staring into a mirror from the past. "Can I help you?" she asked, her voice cautious. My throat tightened. This was it. This was the moment everything changed. I swallowed hard, forcing the words out. I might be your sister." Her eyes widened, her face going pale. For a long moment, she just stared at me, as if trying to decide whether I was insane or telling the truth. Then she whispered, "You need to leave," and she slammed the door in my face. I stood there, stunned, my heart thudding in my chest. I'd come all this way, carried all this weight, and in a single second she'd shut me out. I turned slowly, walking back down the steps, each one heavier than the last. But as I reached my car, I heard the door creak open again. "Wait," her voice called softly. I froze, and that's where everything began to unravel. When she called out to me, I froze on the spot. My hand was already on the car door handle, ready to retreat, to drive away and never look back. But that single word, "wait," held me there. I turned slowly, my chest tight, my palms damp. Sarah stood in the doorway again, her dark hair falling over her shoulders, her expression guarded but softer than it had been a moment ago. She looked younger up close, still caught between teenager and adult, her uncertainty written across her face. "I'm sorry," she said, her voice hesitant. You can't drop something like that on me." I nodded, my throat dry. "I know. I shouldn't have blurted it out. But it's true. I'm Emily, and I think we're sisters." Her fingers tightened on the edge of the doorframe. For a moment, she didn't say anything. Then she opened the door wider. "Come in." I hesitated, my heart pounding. Part of me wanted to run, but I forced my legs forward and stepped inside. The house was small but neat. A faint smell of lavender hung in the air. The living room had mismatched furniture, an old couch with a crocheted blanket draped over the back, a chipped coffee table, a bookshelf full of worn paperbacks. On the walls, there were photographs, but none with a man I recognized. Sarah motioned for me to sit, then perched on the arm of the couch, her arms crossed protectively over her chest. "So explain." I took a deep breath, feeling the weight of everything pressing down. "Our father, he told me about you. He's in the hospital. He said you're his daughter, which makes you my sister. And Adam's too." Her face shifted, confusion, disbelief, anger, a storm of emotions flickering all at once. I don't have a dad. At least not one who ever showed up." I swallowed hard. "Yeah, I know what that feels like." She looked at me sharply. "So why now? Why are you here now?" "Because he's dying," I wanted to say. Because he decided to drop the secret on me when it was almost too late. But what came out was softer. Because you deserve to know you're not alone. Her lips pressed into a thin line. Alone is what I'm used to. We sat in silence for a long moment. My eyes drifted to the photos on the wall, Sarah with a woman I assumed was her mother. They looked happy in some, distant in others. One picture caught my attention. Sarah at what looked like a high school graduation, holding her diploma, her mother's smile forced but present. No father in sight. Does your mom know? I asked carefully. Sarah shook her head, her jaw tightening. She never talks about him. Whenever I ask, she just says he's not worth mentioning. So if you're telling the truth, if this man is really my father, then he's not worth mentioning to me either. Her words cut me because I understood them too well. But something in me refused to give up. I hated him too, I admitted. For leaving. For everything he didn't do. But that doesn't change the fact that you and we're connected. You don't have to want him. You don't even have to forgive him. But maybe we could figure out what this means for us. Together. Her eyes softened for a split second, but then she looked away. I don't even know you. I leaned forward. Then get to know me. Please. The air between us felt heavy, fragile. Finally, she let out a long sigh and said, Fine. But don't expect me to play family, just because you showed up. Relief and sadness tangled inside me. It wasn't acceptance, but it wasn't rejection either. It was something in between. The first time I brought up Adam, her walls went back up immediately. I have a brother too, I told her. His name is Adam. He's 23. He doesn't know what to make of this yet, but I want you to meet him. Sarah's eyes narrowed. One surprise sibling is enough for now, don't you think? I couldn't blame her. I'd had days to process, and I was still reeling. She'd had minutes. Okay, I said gently. We'll take it slow. Still, that night, when I told Adam what had happened, he exploded. You went without me, he shouted over the phone. You found her and didn't even give me a chance. Adam, she barely let me inside, I said, trying to calm him. If you'd been there, it would have been too much. She's scared. She doesn't trust any of this. Well, neither do I. His voice cracked with anger and something else. Hurt. You always do this, Em. You take charge, you decide what's best, and I'm just supposed to follow along. His words stung, because deep down I knew he was right. I had been taking care of him since I was 10. Making decisions, cleaning up messes, holding everything together when no one else would. It wasn't fair to him, but it wasn't fair to me either. Adam, I said quietly, do you want to meet her? Silence stretched on the line. Finally he muttered, Yeah, but only because I need to see for myself if this is real. The following week, I went back to Sarah's house. This time I brought Adam. He was restless in the car, tapping his foot, chewing his nails. What if she doesn't believe us? What if she hates us? She probably will, I said honestly. At least at first. But we have to try. When Sarah opened the door and saw him standing behind me, her expression hardened. I told you not to bring anyone. I held up my hands. I know, but this is Adam. He's your brother too. He just wanted to meet you. Adam shoved his hands into his hoodie pocket, his eyes downcast. Hey! Sarah crossed her arms. So what? You think you can just show up and we're all family now? That's not how it works. I don't think it's anything, Adam muttered. Honestly, I don't even want this. But he's our dad, and if you're really our sister, then... I don't know. I had to see. Sarah studied him for a long moment, her face unreadable. Finally, she stepped aside. Fine. But only for a little while. Inside, the three of us sat in awkward silence. Adam slouched in the chair, Sarah perched on the couch, and I sat between them, feeling the tension like static in the air. This is stupid, Adam muttered. No, it's not, I said sharply. It's uncomfortable. It's complicated, but it's not stupid. Sarah's eyes darted between us. You two fight like you've been doing it forever. I let out a humorless laugh. We have. Welcome to the family. Her lips curved into the faintest smile, but it faded quickly. So what now? You expect me to go visit him in the hospital? Play the good daughter he never wanted? No, I said firmly. You don't owe him that. None of us do. This isn't about him anymore. It's about us. Sarah's gaze softened, but her voice trembled. I don't know if I can handle this. Neither can we, Adam muttered, and for once I didn't correct him. Because he was right. That night, after we left Sarah's house, Adam was quiet. As we pulled into my driveway, he finally spoke. "She looks like you," he said softly. I glanced at him, surprised. "You think so?" "Yeah. Same eyes. Same way you look when you're about to cry but don't want anyone to notice." My throat tightened. She stared at him, but she let us in. That has to mean something. He didn't answer right away. Then he said, "What if this just makes everything worse?" I looked out the window at the dark street, the flicker of a porch light across the road. Or what if it makes things better? For the first time in years, I saw a flicker of hope in his eyes. But it vanished as quickly as it came. 2 days later, Sarah showed up at my apartment. I was making coffee when the buzzer rang, and when I opened the door, there she was, pale, shaken, her hands trembling. "I need to talk to you," she whispered. I stepped aside immediately. She walked in, pacing the living room like a storm cloud ready to break. "What happened?" I asked. She stopped, her eyes locking onto mine. "My mom found out. About you. About him. She lost it." I swallowed hard. "What did she say?" Sarah's voice cracked. "She said he ruined her life. That he ruined mine too. She said if I let you or Adam into my life, I'm making the same mistake she did." My heart ached for her. "And what do you think?" Tears welled in her eyes. "I think I don't know who to believe anymore." She broke then, collapsing onto my couch, sobbing into her hands. I sat beside her, my own eyes burning, and wrapped my arms around her. In that moment, it didn't matter what Dad had done, or what our mothers thought, or how messy everything was. What mattered was that she was here, and she was breaking, and she didn't have to do it alone. But as I held her, I couldn't shake one thought from my mind. If Mom found out too, she'd react the exact same way. Maybe worse. And I wasn't ready for that storm. The morning after Sarah came to my apartment, I barely slept. Her words from the night before kept replaying in my mind. If I let you or Adam into my life, I'm making the same mistake she did. I didn't even need coffee. My nerves were already buzzing. I paced the small living room, glancing at the clock every few minutes. I knew what I had to do next. I had to tell Mom. But that thought alone made my stomach twist. Mom and I had a complicated relationship. She was loving in the way she knew how, but controlling, judgmental, and quick to anger. Every family secret, every mistake, every disappointment had been filtered through her lens, and it usually ended with someone, usually me, feeling guilty for being alive. I wasn't sure I could handle her reaction. Still, I knew I had to. Sarah deserved honesty. Adam deserved honesty. And I deserved to finally stop carrying secrets. I called Mom. The phone rang twice before her voice came through, warm but wary. "Emily," she said, "is everything okay?" I hesitated. "Mom, I need to talk to you. It's important." There was a pause. Then, "I'll drive over. Sit tight." 15 minutes later, she was at my apartment, stepping in with that carefully neutral expression she always wore when she expected drama. Her hair was pulled back in a neat bun, her cardigan buttoned perfectly. She surveyed the room like a general inspecting her troops. "What's going on?" she asked, sitting down on the couch with perfect posture. I took a deep breath. "Mom, do you remember Dad?" Her eyes narrowed slightly. "Of course I remember him." "Why?" "I found out something you probably don't know." Mom's lips pressed into a thin line. "Emily, I found out he has another daughter. A sister you never knew about." Her eyes flickered. The perfect, neutral mask she wore cracked, just for a second. And in that second, I knew she was shocked. Maybe even hurt. "What?" she asked, voice tight. "Another daughter?" "Yes. Her name is Sarah. She's 19. She doesn't know about us. She doesn't know about you or Adam. And she came to my apartment last night." Mom's hand went to her chest, as if the news had physically struck her. Why now?" "Because Dad is in the hospital," I said gently. "Heart attack. He told me about her before." My voice faltered. "Before it might be too late." Mom's face hardened again. "So now you're just going to invite her into our lives? Just because he's sick?" "No, Mom," I said firmly. "Not because of him. Because it's Sarah. Because she deserves to know she has a family, even if he's a terrible father. She doesn't know who we are. She doesn't know she has a brother and a sister. Mom's lips pressed together. She leaned back, folding her arms. Emily, you don't know what you're doing. Families like this, it doesn't just work out. You open one door, and suddenly, everything you've built here could collapse. I swallowed hard. Or maybe we could actually build something real for the first time. We can try. Just try. Her eyes softened slightly, but the tension in her jaw remained. I don't know if I can forgive him for what he did. For all of it. And now this other daughter, it's too much. I nodded, understanding. I know, Mom. But she's scared. And she came to me anyway. That means something. Please, try to understand that it's not about him. It's about her. About us. Mom didn't answer. She just sat there, staring at the floor. I could feel the weight of her judgment, her disapproval, even as I tried to plead for her understanding. Then my phone buzzed. A text from Sarah. Can I come over? I need to talk. I glanced at Mom. She wants to come over. Maybe this could help. Mom's eyes met mine, and for a second, I saw something I hadn't seen in years, fear. Fear that her carefully controlled world was about to be disrupted. Fear that the secrets she had kept, or thought she had kept, were about to unravel. Fine, she said finally. But Emily, I'm warning you. One wrong step, and this ends badly. I nodded, though my heart raced. This was the chance I had been waiting for. The chance to start healing, even if it was messy. When Sarah arrived, she looked even more vulnerable than I remembered. Her eyes darted nervously around my apartment, her hands twisting together. Adam was already there, pacing. I had warned him to calm down, but he couldn't. Hey, I said softly, motioning for her to sit. She perched on the edge of the couch, her eyes wide. Mom stayed in her chair near the kitchen, arms crossed, observing. Adam muttered, "So you came back." Sarah flinched. I had to. I don't know what else to do. I reached over and gently touched her hand. It's okay. You're safe here. She swallowed, eyes flicking to Mom. The tension in the room thickened. Sarah's gaze sharpened. Is she your mom? Yes, I said softly. That's Mom. Sarah's lips pressed into a thin line. I don't know how to deal with that. Mom's voice was cold. And I don't know how to deal with you showing up unannounced. I've been your mother for 19 years, and suddenly you think you can just step into our lives. Sarah flinched again. I didn't ask for any of this. I tried to mediate. Mom, please. She's scared. She doesn't even know us. Mom's eyes softened slightly, but her words were still sharp. I've spent years raising Emily and Adam, doing the best I could. I won't just hand over our family to a stranger because some man screwed up. Sarah's voice trembled. I'm not a stranger. The room went silent. For a long time, no one spoke. I could feel the tension pressing against my chest, my heartbeat loud in my ears. Finally, I spoke. We don't have to forgive Dad. We don't even have to forgive each other yet. But we have to start somewhere. Right now, that means acknowledging that Sarah exists. That she's our sister. And that maybe we can try to be a family, even if it's broken. Mom looked at me, her eyes glistening slightly. Emily, this is going to be a long road. I know, I said, but I want to try. And I know Sarah does too. Sarah nodded, her hand still twisting. I want to try. I don't know how, but I want to try. Adam exhaled, finally relaxing his shoulders slightly. Me too, he muttered. Mom didn't say anything for a moment, then finally, all right. But Emily, you're in charge of keeping it from falling apart. I smiled weakly, relief and anxiety twisting together. I'll do my best. The day ended with a fragile truce, a quiet understanding that nothing was perfect, nothing was fixed, but maybe, just maybe, it was a beginning. That night, I sat in my room, staring at the ceiling, thinking about Dad. About how much he had hidden from all of us. About how much pain his mistakes had caused. And yet, I felt a strange spark of hope. Sarah wasn't gone. Adam wasn't angry anymore. Mom hadn't rejected us entirely. Maybe this was the first real step toward healing. But just as I was starting to let myself believe that, my phone buzzed. It was a message from an unknown number. He's not finished. Be careful. My chest tightened. The fragile hope I had felt moments ago was replaced with something cold, something I didn't understand. Someone was watching us, Someone knew about Sarah's existence before anyone else. And now, I realized the danger wasn't over. The moment I looked out the window into the dark street, I could swear I saw a shadow moving just beyond the light, watching, waiting. And for the first time since this all began, I didn't know who to trust. The next morning, the house felt different. Even though the sun streamed through the windows, there was a heaviness I couldn't shake, like the air itself was holding its breath. Sarah had stayed the night at my apartment, and Adam had reluctantly agreed to spend a few hours there too, just to help her feel less alone. Mom was quiet, pretending everything was normal, but I could sense the tension coiled beneath her calm exterior. I was sitting at the kitchen table, sipping coffee, when the first sign appeared. My phone buzzed with a text from that unknown number again. They are watching. Don't trust anyone. I nearly dropped the mug. My hands shook as I stared at the screen, my mind racing. Who? Mom? Adam? Sarah? Or someone else entirely? Before I could react, there was a soft knock on the door. My heart jumped, and I froze. It was too early for deliveries, too quiet for visitors. Emily, are you in there? It was Sarah's voice. Relief washed over me, but a flicker of fear remained. I'm here, I called, trying to keep my voice steady. She stepped in cautiously, glancing around as if expecting someone to be lurking in the shadows. You got another message? She asked. I nodded. Yeah, someone's watching us. Her eyes widened. Watching us. Like actually. I swallowed hard. I don't know, but it's too much of a coincidence to ignore. I think we need to be careful. Sarah's lips pressed into a thin line. I don't even know what careful looks like here. I just want my life to be normal. I shook my head. Normal isn't something we get to choose anymore. Not with Dad's secrets and whoever's watching us. We didn't talk much after that. The air was heavy with unspoken fears. I tried to focus on breakfast, making toast and eggs, but every noise, a creaking floorboard, the hum of the fridge, a car outside, made my skin prickle. Adam arrived mid-morning, still grumbling. What's with the dramatic vibes? I can't even have coffee without feeling like someone's about to jump out at me. I glanced at him. It's serious, Adam. Something's not right. I've been getting messages. Someone knows about Sarah. His eyes narrowed. Messages? From who? I shook my head. I don't know, but they're warning me. Whoever it is, it's not friendly. He ran a hand through his hair. Great. Just what I needed. A mystery stalker to ruin family bonding. I didn't laugh. This wasn't funny. Not when the feeling of being watched didn't leave, even for a second. The day dragged on. I kept glancing out the window, half expecting to see a shadow lurking, someone observing, waiting. By evening, Sarah had grown restless, pacing the living room. I can't do this, she whispered. I can't just sit here while someone's out there watching us. I feel trapped. I know, I said softly. I feel it too. But panicking won't help. We need a plan. Adam flopped onto the couch. A plan? Seriously? What do you propose? Hide under the bed. I ignored his sarcasm. We need to figure out if this is really someone external or someone close to us. Then we decide how to protect ourselves. That's it for now. Sarah sat down heavily, burying her face in her hands. I thought I was ready to start over. With you. With Adam. With all of this. And now. I knelt beside her. Hey, look at me. We're going to figure this out. Together. But we have to be careful. And we have to trust each other, all three of us. That's the only way we can survive this. She looked up at me, her eyes red-rimmed. I want to trust you. I really do. But I don't know if I can. Not after everything I've been told. I swallowed hard. I know. And that's okay. We'll take it slow. Just stay close. Please. She nodded, the faintest tremor of hope in her eyes. That night, I barely slept. Every creak of the house, every shadow cast by the moonlight, felt like it could hide danger. Around 2 a.m., I woke to the sound of whispers outside my bedroom window. I held my breath. The voices were muffled, indistinct, but unmistakably there. My heart pounded in my chest. I crept to the window and peeked through the blinds. A figure stood at the edge of the driveway, hood pulled low, watching the house. I froze, unable to move. The figure didn't approach, didn't knock, just lingered. My phone buzzed on the nightstand. Another message from the unknown number. He's here. I swallowed hard, my hands trembling. Who? Dad. Someone else. The fear clawed at me, icy and relentless. I called Adam's phone quietly. No answer. Then Sarah. Her ringtone echoed faintly, then went to voicemail. I whispered, "What the hell do we do?" I grabbed my coat and my keys. I had no plan except to get outside, confront whoever this was, and protect Sarah. The driveway was empty when I stepped out. My heart pounded as I scanned the shadows, but the figure was gone. The street was silent, except for the hum of distant traffic. I breathed a shaky sigh, telling myself it was my imagination. But deep down, I knew it wasn't. Whoever was watching us had the patience to wait, the skill to remain unseen. And they weren't done. I went back inside, bolting the door behind me. Sarah and Adam were awake now, the worry plain on their faces. "It's him," I whispered. "Someone's watching us. I don't know who, but they're here." Sarah's hands were shaking. "Why? Why would anyone?" I shook my head. "I don't know. But we have to be ready. We have to stick together." Adam muttered under his breath, "This is insane. Why couldn't Dad just be a normal deadbeat and stay out of our lives instead of whatever this is?" I ignored him. There was no time for sarcasm. I moved to the window, peering into the darkness. The streetlight flickered, casting shadows that danced across the pavement. And then, for a split second, I saw him, tall, broad, a silhouette that could have been anyone, standing just beyond the light. I froze. He lifted his hand slowly, just once, as if acknowledging me, and then he vanished into the night. The next day, I called Mom. She answered immediately, her tone sharp. "Emily, what is it now?" "There's someone out there," I said quickly. "Watching. Someone knows about Sarah, about us. I don't know who, but they're dangerous." There was silence. Then a long, low sigh. "Emily, I told you this would get messy. You don't know what you're getting into." "I know, Mom. But we can't ignore it. We have to protect ourselves, protect Sarah." "You'll handle it your way," she said, voice tight. "But if anything happens—" "I know, Mom," I interrupted. "I'll be careful. I promise." Hanging up, I turned to Sarah and Adam. "We need to move. Not far, just somewhere safe for a little while. We can't let him find us, whoever he is." Adam groaned. "Move? Seriously? You're acting like we're in some spy movie." "I don't care," I snapped, my nerves raw. "This isn't a game. Someone's watching. And we can't afford to take chances." Sarah looked at me, fear and trust warring in her eyes. "Okay," she said finally. "I'll go. Just, please, keep me safe." I nodded, squeezing her hand. "I will. I swear it." That afternoon, we packed a small bag each. Just essentials: clothes, IDs, phones, chargers, and a few sentimental items. Adam grumbled the whole way, but I could tell he was quietly terrified, just like me. We slipped out of my apartment quietly, checking behind us at every corner. Every car, every passerby, every shadow made me tense. Whoever was watching us was patient, smart, and maybe closer than we realized. We reached the car, and as I started the engine, I caught movement in the rearview mirror. A black SUV idling across the street. My blood ran cold. Whoever it was, they weren't going to let us leave easily. Adam leaned forward, whispering, "I told you this was insane." I didn't answer. I just gripped the wheel, my jaw tight. My heart hammered, and in that moment, I realized the battle wasn't just about family anymore. It was about survival. As we pulled onto the main road, the SUV followed, silent but relentless. I swallowed my fear, my resolve hardening. "Hold on," I whispered to Sarah and Adam. "We're going to get through this. Together." But even as I said it, I didn't know if that was true. Not yet. And somewhere behind us, in the shadows, the figure smiled. The SUV followed us for nearly 30 minutes, weaving through streets like a shadow we couldn't shake. Every glance in the rearview mirror made my heart thump faster. Adam's hands gripped the dashboard so tightly his knuckles were white. Sarah sat beside me, staring out the window, silent, her fingers intertwined with mine. I kept thinking about Dad, about the secrets, the lies, the years he abandoned us. And yet, Somehow, he had set all of this into motion, unknowingly leading me to Sarah. I wondered if he'd ever imagined the chaos he'd created, the people he'd endangered, or the fragile family he'd left behind to pick up the pieces. "Where are we going?" Adam finally asked, his voice tight. I didn't answer immediately. I didn't want to admit I didn't know exactly. I had a vague idea. A friend of mine lived a couple of hours away, in a small town with hardly any neighbors. It wasn't perfect, but it was safe. For now. Just a few hours north, I said finally. "You'll see when we get there." Sarah's eyes met mine. "I trust you," she whispered, and something in her voice made my chest ache. She had every right not to. We had dropped into her life uninvited, carrying the weight of a family she didn't ask for. And yet, she had chosen to come with me. I exhaled slowly, trying to keep the panic from rising. Whoever was following us wasn't giving up. And I didn't know why, or what they wanted. Half an hour later, the SUV still tailing us, Adam leaned forward. "Emily, maybe we should confront them. Face them." I shook my head quickly. "No, that's exactly what they want. They're watching us, waiting. We can't give them the satisfaction. We have to get to the safe place first." The road stretched endlessly ahead, dark and quiet. My knuckles hurt from gripping the wheel, my jaw ached from tension. And yet, despite the fear, a small part of me felt alive. We were together, Sarah, Adam, and me, finally, truly together. Even in this danger, even with the secrets and lies, there was a spark of family I had never known before. We reached my friend's small town as the sun began to rise. The sleepy streets were empty, and I guided the car into a driveway behind a modest house with peeling white paint. My friend had agreed to let us stay for a few days, no questions asked. I parked, cut the engine, and we sat in silence, waiting for the SUV to appear. It didn't. I exhaled, my body trembling with relief I hadn't realized I'd been holding in. "We made it," I whispered. Adam slumped back in his seat, letting out a long, shaky laugh. "For now. But I have a feeling this isn't over." Sarah stepped out of the car, stretching her arms as if trying to shake off the night. "I can't believe we're actually here. Alive." I joined her, watching the pale morning light hit the streets. "We are. And we will be. As long as we stick together." She glanced at me, a small smile tugging at her lips. I think I'm ready to try this. Family. With you. With Adam. I'm scared, but I want to do it." My throat tightened. "Me too. I want that too." Adam wandered over, still grumbling but quieter now. "All right, fine. But next time, we don't run in the middle of the night. Deal?" I laughed softly, the sound fragile but real. "Deal." Over the next few days, we stayed hidden, trying to regain a sense of normalcy. Sarah and Adam began sharing stories about their childhoods, laughing softly at memories that didn't involve tragedy. Mom called occasionally, asking questions, her voice softer than before, tinged with worry. She didn't know exactly what was happening, but I could tell she was trying to understand, trying to let go of some control, trying to let us find our own way. It wasn't perfect. We argued, we cried, and sometimes fear bubbled up too quickly, threatening to undo everything. But we were together, and for the first time, that felt enough. One evening, as the sun dipped low, painting the sky in shades of pink and orange, we sat on the porch of the small house, a blanket wrapped around all three of us. "I still can't believe Dad did this," Sarah said quietly. "All these years, I didn't even know I had siblings." "I know," I said softly. "I hated him too. But the truth is, we found each other. That counts for something, doesn't it?" She nodded, tears brimming in her eyes. "It does. More than anything. I just wish it didn't have to come with so much pain." Adam rubbed the back of his neck. "Life's messy. Family's messy. But at least we're messy together." I smiled, letting the warmth of the sunset wash over me. For the first time in a long time, I allowed myself to believe that maybe the mess could be beautiful. Then, the phone rang. My heart jumped. It was Mom. "Emily," she said immediately, her voice strained but calm. "I know what you did. I know where you are. And I'm coming to see you. I don't know if I'm ready, but I want to understand. I want to meet her." I felt my chest tighten. "Mom, are you sure?" "Yes, I'm sure." And I'm bringing something else too, she said quietly. I want to try. I want us to try. Tears filled my eyes. Okay, we'll be here. When she arrived the next day, the moment was strange, tentative and delicate. Mom's eyes met Sarah's for the first time, and for a heartbeat, the room was silent. I'm sorry, Mom said finally, her voice unsteady. For everything. For not knowing. For not being there. I want to make it right, even if it's messy. Sarah nodded slowly. I don't know if I can forgive him. But maybe I can start forgiving you. And Emily. And Adam. I want to try. Adam and I shared a look, a silent agreement that we would protect each other, no matter what. And in that small, cluttered living room, with the faint smell of Mom's perfume and the soft hum of the morning light, something fragile but real began to form. A family. It wasn't perfect. We were flawed, hurt, and scared. But we were together. And that, finally, felt like enough. Weeks later, we returned home cautiously, keeping our eyes open but carrying a quiet confidence. The black SUV never appeared again. Whoever had been watching us was gone, at least for now. We couldn't erase the past, but we could face the future together. Sarah enrolled in a local college, Adam started a new job, and I found a way to balance my own life while helping them navigate this new chapter. Mom remained close, learning slowly to let go of control and let us build our own fragile bonds. One evening, we all sat on the porch again, the three of us wrapped in blankets, drinking tea, watching the sunset. Sarah leaned against me. I never thought family could feel like this. Safe. Real. I smiled softly, squeezing her hand. It's not perfect, but it's ours. And that's enough. Adam grinned, the warmth of the moment softening the edges of his usual sarcasm. Yeah, I can live with this chaos, as long as we stick together. I looked at them, my heart full, tears prickling my eyes. Despite everything, the secrets, the lies, the fear, we had made it through. And in the quiet of that evening, I allowed myself to hope. Not for perfection, not for a life without scars, but for love, for family, for a chance to heal. Because sometimes, that's all we really need. And for the first time in a long time, I believed we could do it.